Hello, my name is Vince Romo. The show that you're about to see is about barrio lifestyle, about being raised in the barrio, being from the barrio, the do's, the don'ts, the what's and the where's, the who's and the how's. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to Barrio Driven. So today, my guest is Brian James, also known as Loney. Brian, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you, Vince.
Before we get started, could you give the audience a quick brief introduction of yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I guess the biggest part of my life and story would be that last week was 3 years that I paroled after serving 29 years and 2 months of incarceration from the age of 16 to 45. The brief run through of my story, I guess, would be I came up in a home that there was a lot of addiction in the home. The heroin abuse had consumed my family tree growing up. So, growing up in a house with a mother and father on heroin, they forget to feed you some days. They forget to show up. They forget to come home. They leave you in the care of people that you have no business being in. So I grew up in that environment, but I didn't necessarily really understand the nature of addiction. So I internalized that, and I began concocting a story inside my head that my parents don't want me. That's the only reason that why they would neglect me like they do. Ultimately, my mother was arrested. My father disappeared, and I entered into the foster care system briefly. By the grace of God, my grandparents came and saved me. My grandmother's name was Sheila. She's the love of my life. They brought me into their home, and they raised me it was a nice, in Northridge, California, a
Right
nice
on,
neighborhood.
right on. We'll get into
Yes,
that,
sir.
so we don't want to go too far
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah,
First,
yeah.
thank you for sitting in the hot seat.
You bet.
We appreciate you. And you ready?
I'm ready.
Tell me about your childhood.
Okay. So I would describe my childhood in one word as a nightmare.
Really?
Um,
Why was it a nightmare?
Addiction. And with addiction comes neglect. With addiction comes abuse. With addiction comes, many of the nightmares that, I experienced as a child.
Who had this addiction? Since it couldn't have been you, you're a child,
Sure.
and so who had this
Well, I mean, I
addiction?
actually did have an addiction. I used heroin in vitro, which means I was born addicted to heroin. I was born in UCLA Medical Center, and I spent the first 100 days of my life withdrawing from heroin. And by doing that, they rub a little swab in your mouth with very, very small doses of morphine and slowly work you down.
So your mom was using.
As well as my father. Yeah, they were in the throes of heroin addiction. Yeah.
Wow. And was this throughout her pregnancy? I'm imagining so,
Yeah.
as you know.
Yet before, during, as well as after.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's so basically from what we've talked beforehand, you have had your own battles with addiction, which we'll get to.
Hmm.
But it's almost like you were already handed addiction from the beginning. Basically, you were. And
Yeah, yeah. The script was written.
how was your relationship with your mom? Describe your mother to me.
Sure. So my relationship with my mother was in many different phases because she had periods where she got clean. So there were times when she was my best friend. There was times when she was my mother. There were times when she was my enemy. There was times when she was my crime partner. She's been everything, a drill sergeant. We've experienced our relationship has gone through so many different facets. And today, unfortunately, it's entirely non-existent.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Tell me your fondest memory of your mom and tell me your most painful, hurtful memory with your mom. Let's start with the fondest first.
Yeah. My favorite one, sitting there watching Jaws with my mom. She had just got out of a detox. She was clean. And I remember we sat there watching Jaws. I had a peanut butter sandwich, and it was one of like my greatest memory.
You know what's heavy and talking to you? Most kids have fond memories of, their parents taking them to Disneyland, taking them to like this amazing place, maybe the zoo, maybe,
Mm.
I'm saying, you guys had, uh, you know, a day where you saw like three movies in the theaters. Yours is, and that pains me, man. Yours is sitting down watching Jaws, eating a peanut butter sandwich.
And because that's all, and when we get into my story, you'll realize, and I'll explain, I'll try to articulate as best as I can. That's all I wanted was that connection with my mom, mother and son. I wanted love. I wanted to feel I belonged, that I was important to you.
Yeah.
Like that's all I wanted. So that peanut butter sandwich and Jaws, like we shared that moment. It was me and her, and yeah, it was that important to me that what 45 years later, it's
Wow.
still right there. Yeah,
Wow. Your most painful memory with your mom.
it's always the relapses. Um, she would piece together great times of clean time and the most amazing woman in the world. But when the relapse comes, and it would crush me, it would crush me. I Every relapse was exactly the same. You know, you're built up, you're excited, your mom's thriving, your relationship is back together, you're watching Jaws,
Yeah.
and then you come home one day, and if you're a child of addiction, you know immediately the second you step in the house, it's off. She's in the room, the lights are off, you go in there and get out of here. Okay. As a child, I didn't necessarily know it was heroin and addiction. I just knew the sickness was back. Something was off. It was like an energy I felt, but those were always my worst moments, the relapses after having like a period clean.
Did you ever see your mom shoot up?
One time, and that was we lived at the time in a small room in San Fernando. It was a one room, and looking back in my latter years, I realized when I was asked to leave the room or to go out or get out of here, 3, 4 times a day,
Yeah.
I figured out what was going on. I took a peek one time and I saw, her cooking it up in the spoon and pulling it up. And yeah, it was terrifying. I sat there and sobbed in the hallway.
Tell me about the relationship with your father.
There was none. There was none. I have very, very few memories of them. And it comes in blotches and or like flashes, and they're all screaming. It's all slamming noises, all like fighting, yelling, violence. There's not a single good memory.
Wow. Wow. So not a single good memory of your father.
Not a single one.
Is he still alive?
No, he ended up dying of an overdose, actually. The same exact week I was in trial.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I don't even know what, when you say that you don't even have a single good memory of your father, um, if you were to, see, I don't want to hit you with this, but I mean, I have to. This is Barrio Driven.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, what, during the times that you were with your father, what is the most painful memory of that man?
I don't know if I can recall it exactly, but I'll try right now if I can. And I was 38 years old, and something hit me. I've hated my father my entire life. He's in his absence, he's not even been a part of my life, but he's driven my anger and my rage for years. And I wrote a poem at 38 years old because something happened where I just had this overwhelming feeling of I wanted to know about him. And any question I would ask of my family would get shut down. Your dad's the devil. We don't want to talk about him. So if I remember, it said, I forgive you, Father, for leaving me, but that doesn't mean I understand. I don't get it. Did I fail you as a son, or did you just fail as a man? For years, I thought about you and wonder where you went. This, the latter part of that, I'm not recalling it, but I said, I loved you. I hate you. I missed you. I tried to forget you. See the confusion you caused in a boy who never even met you? And then the ending part is, I don't recall exactly, but I remember saying, I forgive you. And if I ever have a son, I promise to break the cycle. And in writing that poem, I wrote that in the Corcoran shoe, and I released it.
Wow.
I released it. I released it. I have no bad feelings towards my father. I love him. I thank him for making me. I forgive him. But that was a huge moment in my life. That was
Yeah.
a huge moment in my life.
You know, it is, you guys have heard me say on this show multiple times, our childhood is what shapes the people, the men and women that we grow to be. If Ryan would have been raised in a home where his parents weren't, you know, addicted, weren't battling these demons themselves, I'm sure I probably wouldn't be sitting with this individual right now, you know?
Hmm.
And it is so important for us to be those examples to the next generation because that's what they're going to become. Tell me about, well, were you going to school at all during this time, or were you going to school?
I was going to school not regularly. Like most kids, in a house of addiction, you go to school because we would immigrate to wherever the dope was at, wherever the dope dealer was at. So it would be different schools. But for me, I always had my grandparents, which was kind of a solid foundation. So when things got a little too crazy and wild, I would always go over there.
Tell me about your grandparents.
Oh man, we could do a whole episode. The loves of my life. My grandmother's name was Sheila Mary James, the greatest woman I've ever known, wisest, God loving. She planted the most beautiful seeds of compassion, love, empathy, all these things inside of me. Unfortunately, sprouted after her passing, but she was an amazing, amazing woman. And my grandfather, his name was John James. He worked at Universal Studios for 50 years. He worked in powder and special effects. As a child, he took me on. I've been on Rocky Four set, Dukes of Hazzard, all the Dukes of Hazzard's explosions. That was my grandfather.
Wow.
The Rocky, the blood.
Yeah.
He built the capsules and things like that. He a fantastic man. The most non-violent, gentle, sweetest man I've ever met.
Wow.
Yeah, loved the Lord with all of his heart. That was his guiding light. But they're not with me today. They passed on, but I feel their hands on my back every single day, pushing me forward. And
Yeah.
I hear their words in my ears, all the things they said, all their little quotes and nuggets of wisdom. Yeah, they're my everything.
Wow. Thank God for them.
Absolutely.
At what age did you start getting in trouble?
Um, I mean, it was early. I've been in trouble my entire life.
Talk to
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
This
yeah,
is why we're here. This is
yeah, yeah. I mean, I was the kid that was in detention, in school, suspended, kicked out, juvenile hall. My first arrest was I stole an LL Cool J tape from Target. I always tell LL Cool J, I owe you $7.99 if I ever do run into him, because that was my first arrest ever, and it was with my grandmother. I remember.
with your
But yeah, yeah,
your first arrest was Alec Cool J. Tell me about your first time in juvenile hall.
it was probably one of the greatest moments of my childhood. I thought, because I'm coming from a family who I believed didn't want me, and I moved into the. I wasn't from a gang yet, but I was hanging out in the streets with people who accepted me. And when I would get in trouble, they would praise me. When I would go to juvenile hall, I would get what I referred to as welcome home, fresh out of jail worship. It felt amazing. I went in there. It was sort of like the big leagues. Like I met gang members from established gangs who had information I was dying to get.
Wow.
I wanted to be them. I was imitating them. I always say I lived a life that I didn't necessarily have to live. My grandparents saved me. They took me to Northridge. I grew up in a middle class, like in that. But all the stuff that was going on made me excited about that lifestyle.
Wow. So, I've heard different like people say, "Oh man, my first night in juvie, I was kind of like, I was nervous. I was kind of scared, and you welcomed it."
I was excited. Yeah.
Wow.
I remember that first night I was a day room sleeper, and I was just laying on the bunk next to one of my buddies from Pacoima, and I remember just looking up thinking like, damn,
Why were you excited?
because it was part of, I felt my obligation, like, to my friends. Everybody had been to juvenile hall, and it gave me a reason to be important. I'm a bastard child of two drug addict parents.
Yeah.
I'm worthless. There's in my mind. So this made me important. It was the coming home part that made it all worth it. So I would go to camp or whatever it is and spend my 6 months, but coming home and everybody saying, "Hey, you're out and welcome." That for a kid with a hurt soul and heart like myself, it filled me up. It
Wow.
filled
It
me
made
up.
you feel welcome. It made you feel loved.
Yeah.
It made you feel accepted.
Hmm.
You were like, hey, my boys, what I'm saying? They're going juvie, and you wanted to have that acceptance. You wanted to have that respect. That hey, so I understand
I was
that.
dying for it. I was
Wow.
dying for it.
Um, what was your worst charge as a juvenile?
So my worst charge as a juvenile was murder.
Murder.
Murder,
Wow.
which was my last arrest as a juvenile.
Your last arrest as a
Mhm.
juvenile. What happened and how old were you?
So I was 16 years old, and like I always like to share, like that type of charge is not there. There's so many things that happened before that. I wasn't born a murderer. I never intended to be one. It was never my goal, but a series of things that can happen lead up to one moment.
And were you from your neighborhood at this point?
By this point, yes, I was.
And where were you from?
I was from Sun Valley Diablos.
San Valley
Yeah.
Diablos.
I began as a tagger, and this is in the '90s when, um, you know, gangs were putting a lot of pressure on tagging crews to assimilate and become part of that.
Yeah.
And I was more than willing to do it. It was the progression. It was the next step, and so I did that. And just like my friends, where I want to show my worth, my value, I just replicated that same thing. I tried to, you guys have accepted me. Now I'm from the big leagues.
Yeah.
Now I'm feeling important, and I'm just really in a dark, ugly mind state.
How did you feel the first time that you felt that you held a firearm? How did it make you feel?
Oh man, I mean, just when you ask that right now, it's like a power, like a power, like important.
Really?
Yeah, important. It sounds, looking back, saying it now, I'm ashamed of that.
Yeah.
It sounds like, I was in a really dark and dangerous mind state at that time. But yeah, that's how that made me feel.
So you're 16 years old. You just got charged with murder. What happened? Tell me. I want you to take me back to that night where this individual lost their life
Yeah.
and take us back there.
So the story of this night is not any different from when I was arrested. I went to juvenile hall. There were 90 plus other juveniles under the age of 18 that were fighting life sentence, some for murder, double murder. And it was the story of you're living a lifestyle, and they call it the fast life for a reason. And I quickly, as soon as I joined, things got really serious really quick. And we went to a party one night, regular night, homies going to a party. The only difference with this is I had got out of camp 2 days earlier. I got out on a Thursday actually, and we went to the party on a Sunday. So this is the homies out, that fresh
Yeah.
out of jail worship. So, and I loved it. And I felt important, and I felt good, and it soothed all that. I'm still that little boy that I told you about. Nothing has changed. I've grown up, and maybe a couple tattoos, and I know how to act tough and stuff like that. But inside, I'm still that guy. So we go into the party. There's rivals and the DJ and the music, and people are drinking. It's the average house party in the '90s in the San Fernando Valley, but we had some rivals in there, and the energy was just really charged up. So there was an altercation at the place where they were serving beverages. There was a table where they were serving shots for $1 and maybe a beer for $2, something like that. And an altercation took place with a little shoving match with another guy. Where are you from? One of those. And at the moment, I was like, man, I didn't get high that night. I drank a little bit, but I knew I had a drug test, and I just wasn't ready to go back to juvenile hall quite yet. I was going to try to at least be good for the night. So I told everybody, let's just go. Let's leave. Everybody decided, so we left out the party. As we're driving, I'm literally turning off the street. We see a humongous fight break out in the middle of the street. The party spills out into the street. And we back up the car and we run to the fight. I remember there was a knife under the front seat. There's always weapons around at that time. And at that time, there was a knife under the front seat. So I reached under the front seat and I grabbed the knife and I ran towards the scene of the fight where everything was happening. It was a humongous crowd. And as soon as I ran up, I seen a guy. He was on top of my friend and he was hitting him with something. And I didn't learn till later on in the trial. It was one of those bars that you lock a steering wheel with.
Yeah.
He was hitting him on top of that. And I made a decision, Vince, that took me 3 seconds. Reached in my pocket, I pulled out that knife and I swung it as fast and as hard as I could. 3 seconds that decision took me to make. Cost me my entire life. And I didn't know at the time. The memory that I take with me of that moment is, and I don't say his name publicly while he drives every aspect of my life. I say his name privately every single day, constantly throughout the day. I heard the air leave from it was like a release of air. That's the thing that stuck with me. And I heard his girlfriend scream in my left ear. That's the noise that stayed with me. And when that happened, I remember I ran. And when I left, a couple other of my homeboys also stabbed him a few times. And I found out the next day that he passed away. He passed away that night at 1:00 at Holy Cross Hospital.
Wow. You know, to the family of this individual who has passed on, you have our sincerest condolences, and I pray that God be with you all. And if God has not healed you, of course, you know, when you lose a loved one, sometimes it's impossible to heal. But I pray that God has given you guys all peace. You have our condolences. And, and I do that because this is your story. But at the end of the day, you know, he, he's a person just as any of us are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you stabbed this individual, where did you stab him at?
Under the left armpit.
Under the left armpit.
Mm-hmm. Which is,
how many times did you stab
one time?
One time.
Yeah, and which was a fatal wound.
Yeah.
Under the armpit on the left side is a really you know, at the time I didn't understand any aspect of biology or anything like that, but yeah, it was a fatal wound, one of them.
So his girlfriend is screaming. He's still being stabbed by a few of the homies. Mm-hmm. When you seen what is taking place, what went through your mind, Brian? What went through your mind at this time?
I wasn't processing anything. I was just in the moment, just living in the moment, making decisions on the fly. I had zero life skills. There wasn't anything of any value going on inside of my mind at all. It was the following morning too. You know, I told you I had just got out on a Thursday and I promised my grandparents I would go to church with them on a Sunday. So I ended up going to their house the next morning early after this had happened. And we ended up going to church. And I remember telling my grandparents on the way home, I was calling a few of my homeboys. I didn't know what happened. I didn't know if the guy passed away, but I knew it was serious. And I told him an incident had occurred. I didn't give him details, but I said, something happened last night. As we're driving home from church to turn the corner to go home, there was channel 7 at the corner, and then we seen channel 5, and then we turned the whole entire street on both sides was just lined with cops. And my grandfather pulled into the driveway and they did the felony stop and arrested me right there in front of them. And that's when they took me to the police station. Yeah.
So you get taken in. What was the first thing that the cops told you?
It's the first words out of their mouth, which was in fact true. And what they did was they were angry that I sat there and refused to say anything. I just kept saying, take me to juvenile hall. I I had been through that process, although I was 16, I had been in those rooms in juvenile hall and camp and YA, so I had a good amount of experience at that point, and I was hardened from the drugs and the anger and the hate, which gave me what I needed to be the great, solid gang member that I was that day.
Yeah.
I just said, take me to juvenile hall, and they said, okay, this is what we're gonna do. They handcuffed me and they walked me to a wall, and they stood me behind a wall where the front gate, where the front booking was, and my grandparents were there, and they're asking about my property and picking me up, and I heard them say, we just charged your son with murder. And I just remember what it did to my, I didn't see, but you can hear my grandfather like stutter, like, wait, what? What? That was the memory that I took away from that particular moment. That was hard.
So you've been taken in, and I want to backtrack just just a tad to where this gentleman is losing his life. Did you? I mean, even though, I mean, when you see this individual who is, I'm sure, bleeding all over. I mean, what went through? Did anything go through your mind as you're seeing this? Like, hey, maybe you know what? Maybe we did too much. Maybe like, is this gonna be okay? Or like, did anything go? Or you just like automatically, like, you just like most people do? I just need to get the heck out of there.
I I mean, I wish I had the feelings and the sentiments and attitude that I do today, but at that time, just anger, just nothing but pure rage.
So you didn't care at
Just
that time.
yeah,
Yeah,
stomp and beat these people unconscious. How dare you
yeah.
challenge us? Like who
Who are you?
do you not know who I think I am?
Wow.
You know that mind state.
Do you not know who I think I am? That's heavy. That's a heavy
Yeah,
statement.
yeah.
That's a heavy statement. Do you not know who I think I am? Wow, that's heavy. So you're being charged with murder. Um, and you get convicted. How long did you get convicted for? What was the sentence they gave you?
So I ended up going to trial. There was 5 of us that were arrested for this. 3 of us were juveniles, and there were 2 adults that were 18 and um, we were 16 and 15. When I got tried as an adult, I went to trial with one of my co-defendants that was left. The other ones that got sentenced to life as a juvenile. Another one took a speedy trial. He got a life sentence, and we went to trial. Took about a year and a half. We got found guilty of second-degree murder and an assault with great bodily injury, and I was sentenced to 20 years to life.
20 years to
Mm.
life. Wow. So you're 16 years old.
At the time, sentenced
17,
17, but the
17.
arrest was 16. Yeah.
17 years old. And you hear them, the judge sentenced you 20 years to life. What went through your mind at that time, man? You're hearing, you're 17, you
Hmm.
know, you had your whole life ahead of you. You're still a kid,
Yeah.
and you're going to prison for the rest of your life. There's no more, there's no more girlfriends. There's no more, you know what I'm saying? Oh, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go there. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have this, good life because I'm sure you wanted a good life. You know what I'm saying? Who doesn't want a good life? We
Yeah.
all want a good life. Just because we grew up in a barrio or we grew up in the neighborhood doesn't mean we don't want a good life. We all want good things, you know? That's gone.
Hmm.
That is gone at 17 years old. What what went through your mind at that time? Like, did when
Hmm.
how did that register? This is it. This is it. This is 20 years to life.
Yeah. It was,
When you heard that verdict,
yeah.
what 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 happened in here? Talk to me.
It was a heavy moment because as soon as they said the verdict, I heard there was loud like gasps and cries from my family behind me. So of course that impacted me. I was scared because I was going to prison. I was excited, but at the end, so there was just a range of emotions and feelings and thoughts. But at the end of the day, I was excited and I was ready and I was willing because I hated what was behind me. There was nothing behind me. I, there was nothing at home for me. And my future, my past was the homeboys in the big leagues.
Yeah.
I've been working hard to get to this moment. So as terrified as I was of going into the unknown in prison and the pain that I caused on my family, because I definitely hadn't experienced any remorse at that point in my life for any of the victims or anything I put these people through. There was a lot of excitement on my part that I was graduating
Wow.
to the big leagues.
So you were still excited.
Nothing had changed. I hadn't done any
Wow.
work. That broken little screwed up kid I told you about,
Yeah.
still there, still
Wow.
inside between my ears right here. I'm just getting older. I'm getting bigger and I'm getting more dangerous. Only I'm still a little sad, broken, angry, hateful little kid.
Well, you know what? Out of all the guests that we've had on the show, you're the first one that I've heard say being sentenced 20 years to life, say he was excited. This is what he wants. This is the big leagues. You know, that'll, no offense to you, I say this with all respect,
Yeah.
that will tell you exactly how messed up he was at one point in his life.
Mm-hmm.
Who in the world says, hey, you know what, man, this is good. This is what I want. 20 years to life, losing your freedom. You're not going to be able to, make love anymore. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be able to, you know what I'm saying, go see your girlfriend. You're not going to be able to go to anywhere with the fellas. That's gone.
All gone.
It's all gone. You're not going to have your own car. You're not going to have a bank account. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be able to go and, you know what, cash your checks and, like, all of it's gone, man. And you were excited.
Because my only experience in life at that part had just been terrible.
Wow.
In my childhood, and even when I tried to take control of my life in my early teens, it was just fast drugs. Like I had a homeboy that told me one time something that just rang true to me so hard. He said, "You're not. This is not even a click to you for about 10 years. But one thing I noticed from you is you can't just sit and be by yourself. You have to be doing drugs. You have to have music in your ears. You always have to be distracted."
Yeah.
And that's because I was miserable. I enjoyed no aspect of life.
Wow. You were that miserable.
I was that miserable.
Were you were you ever suicidal at any point during that?
Not I in my later years I was, but just the lifestyle I was living unconsciously was suicidal. But I never I may have. I mean, I remember, doing drugs and things like that, just going way overboard. So maybe, subconsciously, I almost certainly was. My lifestyle was.
You kind of was maybe hoping like, hey, maybe I won't wake up from this.
Or yeah, I just didn't. I had zero concern for my life or my welfare at
Wow.
all. Yeah.
Wow. That's heavy.
Yeah.
Tell me tell me about prison.
So on my 18th birthday is when they sent me to prison. I went to Salinas Valley State Prison, and after a reception, and at the time that was what they called a super max 180. They had 4 180 yards. It was supposed to be the most newest maximum security violent prison, and that's where I ended up going. And it was just an education for me. I became a sponge. I quickly became a better gang member, like which was my goal. I became a far worse drug addict. I have a story that was my third month in prison. This set the tone of how I spent my 29 years and 2 months in prison. It was about my third month in prison. I had a homeboy Chino on the yard, and he kind of had taken me under the wing and was showing me around different things. And we were kicking back one day on the handball courts, and we just leaning back, a nice day talking, and he does one of these, like, look over there, you know. So I'm watching, and these guys are playing baseball. The guy hits a base hit or whatever, and he runs to first base. And he's sitting there talking to the guy on first base, and another guy takes the bat and he walks behind him. And I'm just watching, and he gives a home run swing to the back to the base of this guy's neck right here as hard as he could, and the guy just drops. And when the guy drops, two other guys hop on top of him and just start booking him like bad. Now, it's easy to be a gang member and be a tough guy when you got alcohol, you got a bunch of homeboys
Yeah.
around, like, you can be the toughest guy in the world. But when you're sitting there in a pair of gray sweats, a white t-shirt, some socks, and some state shoes, completely sober, it's you yourself. I stood there and I remember staring at it and I kept telling myself, don't you fucking look away. This is your life right now. Don't look away, because everything in me wanted to look away. I was scared to death.
Yeah.
I wanted my grandma. This was intense. And I just forced myself to watch that. And I forced myself to internalize that, because this was my life. And I went home that night, and I sobbed in my bed. It was a terrifying experience for me. And my heroin addiction began shortly after that.
So you're at this young age and you're seeing this, and I imagine that that individual probably passed away.
He died, yeah.
Yeah, because when you get hit on the back of your head with, I mean, a full, you're going to
Hmm.
that's pretty bad, man.
And if that didn't do it, the other guys probably put 30 to 40 holes in him after
Wow.
that, yeah.
So you're seeing all this, and you're forced you to look away. What did, as you said that you cried, I mean, at that point in your life, when after you're seeing this individual pass away, being murdered, his life taken from him,
Hmm.
did it click then? Like, oh my gosh, where am I at?
Yeah.
What? That's when it clicked a little bit.
It just, it was a quick lesson in how serious things could get, and how serious. And I remember in my young mind, like, wondering, why did they do that? Like, I wanted to make sure, like, whatever, I wanted to know, because I'm learning rules. I don't want to step on any landmines and end up being that guy right there. But you can't ask the question either. You kind of got to wait for it to come out, or somebody tell you it's not really, it's not my business. So that was always, and people knew on the yard that that was going to happen. So there's a tension on the yard that happens when an assault or something like that's going to happen. And for years later, no matter what, when something was going to happen in the yard and that tension rose, it created my entire life. Of course, I never talked about it in there, because
Yeah.
I don't want nobody to know, but I had and I'm not alone in this. If I feel it, I know other people, a massive anxiety. Even when I know, okay, these two guys are going to do it, that's the guy that's going to get hit over there in the basketball court. The anxiety and the tension of the yard just, it does
You
something
feel
to you.
it.
Yeah, yeah. Because,
Was
yeah, it does something to you.
was that was that the worst thing you've seen in prison?
Um, it's hard to say. I mean, I've seen the most horrible things you could ever imagine, and they all like surround people dying.
What else?
I'll tell you, when I was about a year in the prison, I um I had a job in the kitchen. A riot took place in the yard between the Southern Hispanics, the homies, and the blacks. So in Salinas Valley, they created a program to where one day the whites and the blacks will program. They'll go to work, they'll go to yard, their daily business,
Yeah.
while the Southern Mexicans and the Northern Mexicans are locked down. So they said to me, "Hey, you're new. These cops don't know. You're gonna see a white boy and they're gonna pop your door on the wrong day. There's a good possibility that's gonna happen." Slid a big knife under my door. Be ready. They schooled me up a little more in detail than that. They explained what was gonna happen. So I was ready, just in case that did
Yeah.
happen. And sure enough, 2 days later, I worked in the morning crew. The door popped. That means get ready for work.
Yeah.
And it was on the black day. And I'm a year in. I'm still a rookie. I'm still trying to adapt and to the situation. The door opened, gave my cellie a hug. I threw the knife in my pocket and I started walking to the kitchen. My intention was to pull that out and just start swinging as hard, as fast as I could on the first person I saw.
Yeah.
It wasn't personal. I believed in my mind I was a soldier and I was in a war, and this
Yeah.
was my duty. As I walked into the rotunda area leading into the kitchen, what I didn't know in my rookie ness is they had already seen my door open. They were planning for it just as well. So as soon as I turned the corner, there was 3 men jumped on top of me, stabbed me 27 times.
Wow.
Yeah,
27 times.
I didn't even get the thing out of my pocket.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, you survived, thank God.
I survived. Thank God.
Wow, 27 times.
27 times. My first year. Welcome to prison.
Wow, man. Um, do you suffer from any form of PTSD from everything that you've been through so far in life?
I definitely do. I definitely do. And I've in my later years, I spent, in my change and preparing for parole board, I spent about 5 to 6 years solely working on myself, reading books, attending groups, learning emotional intelligence, getting clean and sober, understanding why I did what I did, trying to connect dots so that I can understand myself. Because I wanted to be a better human being at this
Yeah.
point. This is after my grandmother died. But recently, not recently, but since coming home, the mornings, I wake up in panics. And it takes me sometimes like about 30 seconds just to breathe through it.
To get over that.
Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from. I don't know why, but waking up has been like one of the greatest challenges in my life. I can have a great night's sleep, but I'll wake up and just breathing if I ran a race.
Well, brother, you've been through a lot, man. You've been through a lot. If that's one thing that uh, the majority, if not all, of the guests that I've had on Barrio Driven, they all suffer from some form of PTSD. Some, some more than less, but you know, because of what they've been through, they they suffer.
Yeah.
You know, you said that even if you have a great night of sleep, are there nights that you don't have a great night of sleep? Like, how do you sleep at night? The majority,
For the most part, pretty good.
pretty good.
No different really than my my prison cell. The sleeps are eventually, it's the waking up that has just been the challenge. And I don't know why.
Do you, if you could go back in time and change everything, would you?
I want to say yes, because the life would be back. So just for that reason, yes. But it's also, you know, when I went to the parole board, they asked me a question, the commissioner. And by the way, I went to the parole board when I was 19, my second year in prison. And they said, "You're up for the board in 20 years, Mr. James. We want you to have a GED, some self-help therapy, some remorse, get you a trade, stay out of trouble." I said, "Sir, if I check all those boxes," and this is me like, okay, maybe I am going to come home because I saw this stabbing. I don't want to be here. Like,
Yeah,
if that's what this life is about, like,
yeah,
as much as I said I did, and part of me did, that terrified me. I said, if I check all those boxes, can I go home one day? And he laughed at me. He said, "Man, your parole officer hasn't even been born yet."
wow.
And it was in that moment that, the stabbing, what I witnessed, I said, I'm done. Everything I need to learn right now is on this yard. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to do anything else but be educated by these homies right here and become the best level 4 prison gang member that I could possibly be.
Wow.
And I'm white, homie.
Yeah.
So while I never felt nothing but acceptance, but love, from the fellas, in my mind, I challenged myself like I need to do a little bit more. That was all inside my mind.
Wow. So,
Oh, excuse me, but this parole board. So I see him 20 years later,
yeah.
and he asked me the question: "How do you make it psychologically okay to live with the fact that you were involved in the loss of life crime?" And I had thought about that already for years. And they're gonna answer me. The only way for me to reconcile and live with that is to not make his death be in vain, not make all this stuff that I've been through, that I put people through, not to be in vain. I can live my life openly, loudly in my change, and God willing, be a blueprint for somebody else, for their survival.
So, as you guys know, on Barrio Driven, we go out to the streets. That's what's different from a
Hmm.
lot of the other podcasts. We go out there, and we're gonna do that with Brian today. We are gonna visit the place where this individual lost his life. Are you ready for that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I am. It's something that I feel I have a moral obligation to do almost. If if you think you can be somebody that can stand up and destroy a family, that can cause a mother to close a casket on her son, to have a girlfriend witness, it's like, you better man up and face what you've done. I've written him letters. I wrote him a remorse letter that I submitted to the parole board. I've written his family letters. I've written his friends, all apology letters that I submitted. The state has them if they ever choose to read.
Wow.
I have no expectations. And I'm in the wrong here, so I'm humble about this situation.
Wow. This is Barrio Driven. We're heading to the streets with Lonely. So right now we're out here, and what city is this again?
This is Arleta.
This is Arleta. And this is, well, we're back on the streets that took your freedom away, man.
Yeah, we are.
You know, and you know, what are the memories that are going through your mind right now? Like, you know, this is, and not only your freedom, but countless others. What's going through your mind right now, brother?
Just recalling this, just that night driving around.
Yeah.
There was 4 carloads of us.
Wow, so there's a lot of you guys.
Yeah, driving around. We had the address to a flyer party, and
Everybody went to the flyer parties back in the day.
yeah, that was
the
thing.
thing. That was the thing.
And the scary part of it is, I know the street is against that, what they call the spreading fields, which I'm not sure why, but before we went to the party that night, we had all met up at some location. I don't know, it was a store or something like that. And I remember everybody was drinking and getting high. Weapons were being passed around. Like, it was a powder keg. Like, nothing good was gonna happen that night. Nothing good was gonna happen that night. And then I realized later on as well that all of us together, we all were trauma bonded. We came from the same broken homes, addiction, you know, all the same, some to a greater degree than others, but that was the glue that put us together. And then mix in addiction and gang violence.
Just a recipe for, honestly, a recipe to for failure, honestly.
Yeah, complete failure and tragedy.
Do you know, are we going straight? I mean,
we're gonna make a right.
We're gonna make a right?
Yeah, definitely make a right.
Okay.
This is Van Nuys Boulevard. This is a big street, runs all the way through the San Fernando Valley. See, there's a high school right there. And you learn later in years too, like, you know, we took a man's life, like the whole community is impacted by that.
Yeah.
When we get to the street, like, you know, I don't know if there's bars on the windows or what, but like, I'm gonna wonder, are they up there because of the murder that took place there?
Yeah.
Did the kids have to change schools? Like, what about that kid that jumped up on the couch that night when the EMT was putting the body inside? We'll go all the way to Woodman, putting the body inside of the ambulance, and they're looking out the drapes. Like, there's so many things in later on in life that I come to think about.
Yeah. That you wouldn't even cross your mind at all back then.
My thought was, you're putting in work, you're getting stripes,
yeah.
you're pledging allegiance. Like, it got no further than that. That's a dangerous human being at that time. I was extremely dangerous.
Wow.
Yeah, you'll make a right here.
Right here?
Yeah. Matt lived probably about a mile down the road. This is sort of like the epicenter, like San Fernando's right there, Pacoima, Sun Valley. Like, it's in the middle.
And there's a bunch of different barrios around here, huh?
Yeah. Especially now since it's new. But especially the like the character of Barrio Driven too. It's a serious, like, you guys are serious about your conversations.
Yeah.
That's why I appreciate coming here with you.
Well, thank you. The honor is ours, brother. We're honored to have you, and honored to have every guest that shares their life stories with us. You know, because we understand it's not easy. Where we go here.
So it's gotta be right here. This is where I want to go. Let me take a picture for Matt. Matt used to come here when he was younger.
So we're on Fillmore now.
Yeah, I'm gonna call him.
Yeah, give him a call.
We came off, we made a right off Fillmore. Hey, okay, look real quick at the picture I'm saying to you. We came off Van Nuys, we made a right on Woodman, then we made a right on Fillmore. Now we're at Fillmore and Canterbury. With those spreading fields are all on the left. Look, I'm gonna send you the picture where we turned. Hold on, I'm gonna put it on speaker. Go ahead.
I can only describe where we were with Miller. Do you remember that?
Look, I'm gonna send you the picture. I know it's literally, we're like blocks from it.
Okay. Go back to the Walgreens. You're gonna go right from Walgreens out of the parking lot.
Okay, that's what we
You're
did.
gonna pass the one street behind Walgreens, the next street, you're making a right on. It's that simple.
The one
that simple.
the one I sent you the picture of, right?
I didn't get a picture yet.
All right, it's coming.
Okay, so
Yeah, we did so far everything he said.
okay, so we'll go back to Walgreens, which was on the corner, right?
Yeah, he said make
You go to Walgreens, you exit Walgreens, you make a right out of that parking lot onto Woodman. You're gonna pass an immediate street. The second street, you make a right on.
Yeah, that's this one right here. I'm sending you the picture. And was Wooddale connected to that, or did we make a right?
Yes, Wooddale branched off that. It was right. The one side of the street on the left is all the spreading grounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fuck.
These are the spreading grounds. I'm just gonna go back to. You think it's down here?
It's gotta be.
There's no picture coming through.
I know. Wow, it's not coming through. No.
It's probably because you're on the phone.
All right,
Sometimes that happens.
I'm gonna hang up real quick and call you back.
Okay, bye.
Right, so right now we're trying to find the spot, take him back to the spot where this murder occurred.
And I've only been here once in my life.
Wow.
And we were driving around like this, not like looking for directions on a flyer, and now I'm holding this thing in my hand that literally tells me where to go.
Where to go.
That's so hard to comprehend. Yeah, I'm not sure why they call these the spreading grounds. It's always been like that.
So that's what they call it.
Mm-hmm. It's got a kind of a dark name to it.
Yeah, spreading grounds.
Like Pet Cemetery vibes. Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of spooky.
This
is it right here.
This is Wooddale right here.
We parked right here. And we parked right here. See where this white truck is
Yeah.
at? We had a couple cars right there.
Uh-huh.
Then where this Jeep is at, we were parked right there.
And where's the house at?
See where that green car's at? Probably about right there.
Let's park and walk. Are you down to do that? How do you feel about that?
I'll show you how. I'll take you through our path that night.
This is a little intense because, you know,
my heart's pounding
I
right now.
I don't even know if the family still lives there.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee you, I'm sure they know who you are. I guarantee that for sure. You know, who is not gonna know the?
And also along with
I'm a little bit like, oh man,
yeah,
this is heavy, bro.
Well, along with, like I said, Barrio Driven being a genuine platform.
Yeah.
I've gone through the workshops in emotional intelligence, healing, dialogue, and action, or I wouldn't even commit to doing something like this. Like I've witnessed things from victim survivor standpoint, so I understand the weight of it, and I know how to respond in that situation. And I think this is important. This is part of the journey. I'm telling a story, you know, in this movie that I talked to you about. So these are emotions that I have to go through. These are emotions that I'm gonna have to turn around and share with younger people. Yeah. Like this is not fun for me. This is, I'm like, you know, yeah, this is but it's important. These are things that need to be done if you're ready for it. You know, you got to be intact. Like, thank God I'm in a great place in my life, spiritually, physically, mentally, but nonetheless, let's do it.
You ready to get off the car?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go.
Quick little prayer inside the mind.
So anyway, we just got to the corner of, this is Fillmore and Wooddale. And right down the street, for, you know, the very first time, he is about to go right to the house where this when this killing, the senseless killing occurred. Talk us back about that night. Talk to me.
I mean, the first thing that I remember is this street right here where this white truck is at. We parked a couple of cars right there. Like I said, there was 4 carloads of us. And I often wonder, the cars, when they're driving by, if they think, I wonder if that has to do with the murder that happened years ago.
Yeah.
You know, or this guy, like, I wonder if they see that and wonder. I wonder if that's a talk of the town on the street. I wonder if it's, you know, a terrible legacy that was left.
Take us back to that night. Walk us through everything that happened. From where'd you guys park?
So we had a couple cars right there.
Right over here?
Yeah. We had one at least where that green truck was at.
Okay.
And 2 right here on the side.
2 right over here?
Yeah.
Where was the vehicle that you were in?
I was right there with
Right
the green.
there.
Yeah.
So from there, you guys all get off, and you guys walk over. Walk us through that.
These signs, these 2 signs right here. I remember them writing on this sign, whether it was a stop sign or something, but I remember immediately everybody jumped off. Everybody was already high. Everybody was already drinking.
Yeah.
So we all jumped down. We kind of congregated right here. Everybody hit up on these signs right here. And then we made our way to this little patch right here.
Right over here?
And now this is a critical area. This was part of the trial because a lot happened in this area right here.
What happened in this area here? Let's walk over here. You mean like right here?
This is it, yeah.
Okay, what happened right here?
So we posted up here before. My heart is pounding right now.
Yeah, I honestly, my heart was pounding. You know, hearing, I'm like, man, you know, as I said earlier, I'm sure everybody in that family who lost that son that night, that brother, that, you know, I'm sure they all know who he is. And so to bring him here is something heavy. And
I seen a car. That's what triggered that, right? I seen a car, like, sort of about where it was at. But as
you guys are posted right here.
Yeah, we were all here. Everybody, you know, at the time it was Primos. Everybody was smoking Primos.
Yeah.
I didn't that night only because I had just got out of juvenile hall recently. I would have to drug test. So that was the only reason I didn't. But I was drinking a little bit. We were all intoxicated. And I remember a minivan came up right there. And it got about to where that green truck was at, where we were parked in the lights. And everybody said, duck. And everybody just went low behind the cars right here. A couple guns came out. And I say that to say this, that the intensity was already thick in the air.
Yeah.
It was already, it was tense. We're armed. We're already ducking, anticipating drive-bys or shootings.
Yeah.
You throw alcohol and drugs into the mix.
Yeah.
After this, we started making our way. And we made our way down the middle of the street. I remember that, absolutely.
So you guys are all...
Because that's the bravado thing, you know, that, you know, you're
there's a bunch of you guys.
Yeah, you're doing all this.
Yeah. You guys are walking, so you guys are all walking down the street.
Yeah.
So as we're walking down the street, Brian, man, tell me exactly what happened. I remember you said that a car backed up. You guys all backed up, right? You left. What exactly happened? Tell me exactly what happened, the moments that led up to that.
Okay, leading up to it, the backing up and all that took place, that's happened as we were leaving the party.
Oh, that's right. You guys were leaving the party, right?
Yeah.
Because you felt there was a drama already starting to happen.
There was already like a skirmish inside of the party.
Okay.
And it was already, the atmosphere was dark and it wasn't going anywhere good.
So you guys are in the car, you guys are leaving, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys get to about right there? How far do you guys get to?
So we got in our car and we backed up and everybody's coming up the streets in their cars. I said there's about 4 carloads, about 2 of the carloads were here. And we were backing up down that street right there. And as soon as we were backing up, we looked in the back, they were fighting in the street right there. And in that moment, hit a U, turned around, we drove full speed. We hit a car right about here. We sideswiped it. And not too hard, but we sideswiped it. And I didn't even realize it until the trial. And then the car came to a stop. That's when I made my decision.
Let's go to that. So you guys
So
are
we're
in your car.
speeding back right
Yeah,
now.
you guys are speeding. You hit a car right over here, but you didn't even notice it because you're pumped up. You're ready to go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, I could see that very easily. You're not forget the car. You don't even realize you hit a car. You see your, and who was this? That was just one of your homeboys.
Yeah,
that
it was my
was being,
homeboy Johnny. Johnny Fine. He's a good friend of mine to this day. Good man.
and he was the one that was getting beat down.
No, he was the one actually driving the car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is probably about where we slammed on the brakes after we sideswiped that car. Yeah, this was it. Reached under, opened the door, and sprinted. I'm not sure, but I know when I see the house, I'll know exactly where it was at.
And this is the house.
And there's a fight happening right there. And where the fight's happening, let's say probably around that gray car,
Yeah.
there's people on all sides of the street, both sides of the street. I'm sprinting from right here. At this spot right here, I'm already in a dead sprint with a knife in my left hand. And no thought in my head.
No thought in your head, but except to I know
Anger,
what you got to do. Yeah.
pain, all that. That was the only thing that was driving me. Yeah. This is it right here.
Is this the house right here?
Yeah.
This is it right here. Let's get a look at that house real quick. So is this the house where that individual lived?
No, it just it's where the party was at.
Where the party was at?
This was where the flyer party was at.
You see this guy and he's on top of your homie. He's beating him down. Take me. What happens?
Yeah, he was probably right about here. Water represents life. That's why I put that there.
Yeah.
And I came running down the street full force, and I came around this way. And during the trial, what I was told was that somebody hit me in the back of the head with something.
Yeah.
I don't recall that happening, but I guess I got hit in the head and I went forward, and it was right here where I pulled out the knife.
Right here.
Bang.
And got him.
And this is where I heard Elizabeth. This is the one that haunts me. Always. She was standing right there. That's the one that haunts me. And during trial, it was during the trial, I even mouthed the words to her. She got up to testify that day. And even in my sickness and my entrenched in gangs, still in active addiction, I remember I said, and that was genuine. I had a moment. And I don't know if she forgave. I don't know what it was, but she just went. And that, I don't know. That's, I always think about that.
And who was Elizabeth?
All I know is she was with the victim, and he was a good man. And I learned about his character, and I don't think he would be with anybody that wasn't a good person. So all I know is what little I learned during the trial, but I imagine a good woman.
How old was he?
She?
No, him.
He was 18. He was 18 at the time. He was a college student in Chicano studies.
Wow.
And I've never shared this before, but if there ever, was a moment, I was going to keep it. But I always promised myself this. I took my first paycheck and I just went to the Chicano studies and I just dropped it off. I wrote them the check and just dropped it off and left. I've always wanted to go back to see if there was something there for him, but I haven't mustered the courage yet to do that. But that was a small indirect amends, as we say.
So this guy who tragically lost his life, even though he was involved in this altercation, this fight, right? He was involved in the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Was he an active gang member, or was he more of a civilian? Or
he was more of a civilian that surrounded himself
with he was. Yeah. So he would hang around the neighborhood, but he wasn't from the neighborhood.
Sure. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Always coming here.
And so it just happened to be unfortunate that this young man was the man that lost his life enrolled in Chicano studies. Yeah, he was involved in a fight. And you know what? At that age, honestly, it seems we're all fighting at that age, am I right?
Yeah.
16, 17, 18, 19, you're always in some kind of altercation, you know? And it's just too bad this young man lost his life. Um, what are you feeling right now, Now that, I know I asked you this in the studio, but now that you're back here and I'm going to ask you, how do you feel that you killed this young man?
Eternally remorseful. This is really heavy for me right now. I remember on the corner, you always talk about what are you going to tell the 16-year-old?
Yeah.
What are you going to write him to? Learn to love yourself. That's the only message, because if you don't love yourself, this is the type of shit you do. If you don't love yourself, how are you going to care about anybody else? Look at, this is over 30 years ago. It impacts my life every day. It took me 3 seconds to do this. A mother closed a casket. A family lost, the ripple effect, this community. This gate, it might be here because there was a murder that happened in their front yard. There's so many consequences that I'm aware of today. And I feel every last one of them. Yeah. That's when we went through the side. We went through the side right there. The party was on the side. They had these bouncers right there. And we came in you ain't searching us and, doing all that.
Yeah.
Tough guy. I wasn't tough. I was a good actor. I was a chicken shit, scared, broken little boy. Walking around with a knife in my pocket, acting tough. That's what we are. The hardest gangster out there, the one in your neighborhood that's making the most noise, he's hurting the worst. I was the one making the most noise. That's what's happening. That's the reality of it. I'll say it if nobody else won't.
Yeah.
Because look at the result. We need somebody that graduated Chicano studies right now, more than ever. Right now, during this historical moment, what's happening. And it's my fault that there's one less one who no doubt would have been great. 3 seconds.
And that's all it took. And
That's all it took.
And your life was forever changed, and he was taken.
And it wasn't a rap song.
Yeah.
It wasn't a rap song.
I wanna tell you, I commend you, brother, for being able to have the balls just to be able to come out here, man. It takes a lot. You guys aren't watching this, but this man is broken right now, and you probably can't see it over, what I'm saying, but I could see him, that the tears, the pain, he lost 30 years of his life. A family was destroyed, over, as he said, over 3 seconds. This is Barrio Driven. You all right?
Yeah, the thing that is hitting me right now is, I don't promote it because that's my story.
Yeah.
But I was a real gangster, bro. I committed murder at 16.
Yeah.
I took an L at 17. I went to the hardest prison at 18. I did 29 years, 16 of them in the shoe. Caught time in prison for hits, things like that. Yeah. But I hate that part of my story. That dude's dead. That guy's dead. I'm ashamed of that fool right there.
Yeah. But you know what? All you can do now is change for the better what you are doing. And use your story to help change the lives of others that may be going down that path.
That's the mission.
That they won't end up 29 years behind bars and having their freedom taken. Where mothers won't have to bury their kids. Where we bring life instead of death.
And like I was saying, the reason this moment is so heavy, why I am so emotional, and I'm not ashamed to be emotional, because I have God in my life today, and I feel these things. I'm acutely aware of what's going on right now, what I'm feeling, every emotion, because I've dealt with them in a box for years. and it's really heavy. And when I say God, that means like my lenses on my spiritual glasses they're pretty clean. I can see the good and the bad as well. And there's a lot of pain just on this street right here. And you can feel it. I can feel it. Because I've only been here twice. This is the second time. The last time I stood here, yeah.
Wow, that's heavy, brother. Wow.
I sometimes even wonder if it would be inappropriate to go to the door. Like I don't think I could do it, but
Yeah.
I don't, I don't know if that person still lives here. I couldn't imagine if somebody was murdered in front of your home. Babe, it's time to move. Get the kids, it's time to go. Like, man.
If you could tell that individual whose life was taken, if you could speak to him, if you could talk to him, which we know is impossible, but if you could, what words would you speak to him?
I would tell him, I swear to God, I would trade places with you right now. Because my life wasn't worth a shit. You were going to college, you were doing the right thing. So what? You went to a party. So what if your friends were gang members? I was poisoned through and through. I was a hurt kid who hurt kids. The great Scott Budnick said, heal people, hurt people, hurt people. I was on the hurt people, hurt people. I was contributing nothing to this world, to society, to the human race, to people. I would have traded places and stuck that knife right in my own heart. And I'm sorry, that's all I can say. I'll trade with you right now.
Thank you, guys. So we're back. Thank you for taking us out there. How did you feel, man, seeing going back to the place where you took this gentleman's life?
It was easier than I originally had imagined it would be. And I think only because of the place that I am at in life, in terms of I was able to find forgiveness for myself. I was able to find peace, and I'm not letting it go in vain. I'm doing something with this tragedy that I created.
Do you think his parents should forgive you? His girlfriend should forgive you? His brother or sister, if they have any, do you feel? And I know these are heavy questions,
Sure.
but this is
Yeah,
this is Barrio Driven, brother. We put you guys a little bit on the cross because we want to know what's really, how you feeling, man.
I think their forgiveness is something that I don't have any expectations of. I'm just gonna be as remorseful and do the best I can with this tragedy, so that it's not in vain, to honor their son, their brother, their spouse, their uncle, because he was all those things.
Really. If you could tell them from your heart, well, what would you say to them if you would? I would say look into that camera and you can.
Yeah. I mean, my message would be that I live every day. It feels almost unfair that I'm here and he's not. That I get to enjoy my freedom. I get to enjoy meals. I get to enjoy family. I get to enjoy a sunny day, spending time with people. I took all that away from him. And he was undeserving of that. And my message is I'm profoundly sorry. I feel it every single day. I say his name every single day. And I will continue to not let this horrible tragedy that is entirely of my making go in vain. And I paraphrase some from the letters that I wrote them, and it took me a lot of edits and a lot of years to come to a draft that I felt would even be worthy of giving to these people of whom I took so much from.
I see that you have remorse, and that you have changed your your whole life around. How, what inspired that change, Brian? How did that occur? What happened that you want to bring good into the world now and no longer bring the hate that you once did?
I think there were two really, really huge moments. The first one was the death of my grandmother, which was entirely unexpected. I didn't see it coming. She was my entire world. And I remember just wanting to, the seed she planted into me, I wanted them to sprout, and I wanted to be, the person that she raised, the boy that she raised. I was a man at that point, and I didn't know whether she can see, whether she knows, but I'm sure gonna do it. And I wanted to do that for my grandfather. The second one, I signed up for a group called Healing Dialogue and Action. This group is called Restorative Justice. It takes mothers of sons who were murdered through gang violence, and they come into the prisons and they sit at tables across from people who murdered someone in gang violence, like myself. And I sat in a group. I did this group a few times. It was a workshop on the weekends, and I sat in front of 3 women. Their sons were all killed at 16 years old by a 16-year-old just like me. And they told me their stories. And I can tell you, Vince, I will never be the same person again after I heard that. The women told me how they felt about, the kid that did it. They said there's days they hate him. There's days that they love him. There's days they forgive him. It's a process. And I learned so much about it. And at the end, I shared my story with them, and they said, "Do you have any questions?" I said, I'm clean and sober. I'm not in the gang life anymore. I'm going to school. I'm doing the right things in life. But the fact remains that there's a body on my conscience. And I wake up with that. I go to sleep with that. I live with that. How do I get past it? Am I supposed to get past that? Can I get past that? What do I do? Do I forgive myself? Like, who am I to even have the nerve to forgive myself for doing something like that? And after about an hour conversation, this was the question that I asked them, and the lady in the middle stood up. She grabbed the other 2 ladies' hands, and they stood up, and they said, "Brian, we forgive you on behalf of him." And they walked around the table, and they gave me a hug, and we cried for quite a while. And I remember I walked out of that day like, I'm gonna go home someday, and I'm gonna do something right by this guy, by this family. And this ripple effect from one act that took 3 seconds caused a ripple effect that touched so many lives, so many lives. I want to do something good with it, and I can't go back to the person who I was.
If you were to, if there was a youngster that, that heard of you, say, "Oh man, that's the homie Looney," you know what I'm saying, man, I want to be like him. What would you tell him? What would be the message that you would tell a younger person that is starting to follow in your footsteps? What would you tell him? Would you look into that camera?
Yeah, and this has been the question that I ask myself constantly. So what I've arrived to is I'm going to live my life out here and be as vulnerable, as honest, as real as I can be, because I'm the representation of homies. So if I'm feeling it, then they're feeling it. I know because I live with these people, but not everybody is comfortable talking about their feelings, what they go through. Homies are a proud people. So I'll do what they say, fall on the sword. And I tell youngsters, and I tell them if they're watching now, that I'm not a preacher. I don't necessarily tell you what to do, but I will tell you what will happen if you live one lifestyle or if you live the other lifestyle. If you live the lifestyle that I chose, be prepared for your family to die while you're in prison. Be prepared to mourn them in a box. Be prepared to get stabbed. This is the lifestyle. And if you're not built for it, there's other options. It's that simple. It's really, really, really that simple. give the information to you. What you know will happen. And the thing about prison is there's all these, I hear all these podcasts too, like, or like songs, there's these war stories. Prison is basically, you're going to spend 5 years of just dead down time where you're trying to fill it with reading books, whatever you can. It's mind numbing, soul draining time. Boom. And then there'll be an incident, an attack, something bloody, somebody gets stabbed, and then you'll go another 9 months. Tired time. Boom. There's an incident. So there's absolutely nothing exciting about it. It's terrifying. And I was a down ass homie.
Yeah.
You know, I paroled GP. I did 29 years. I was in the worst prisons in California. And I was terrified the whole entire time. It was a horrible experience. I watched people lose their family members. I watched friends die. I watched people overdose, go into addiction. I walked around in a circle for 30 years. A circle. I couldn't even walk straight, 100 feet straight without running into a wall. You use the bathroom in front of everybody. They tell you when to open your door. It's a miserable existence. But the thing that it does is it separates you from your life. I have one person that I knew prior to going into prison, before going on the streets, and that's Mohawk Matt. It's the only person in my life that I knew before going into prison.
And he's actually the reason why you're here today.
Yes, he is.
Matt, we love you, brother.
Yeah.
If you guys have not seen Matt's episode, please watch it. A great man, a brother, a friend to me, and he's the reason why you're here today.
Literally. I mean, he's kept me afloat out here in the streets during hard times. He's a true friend. He's a true friend.
Yeah, to both of us. He's a
Yeah,
good man.
absolutely.
Where are you at today, man? What's going on with you today?
So about a year ago, I wrote a short story about my time spent in the dog program. I was involved in a prison dog program, which was critical for me. It was in Corcoran. This was the worst yard in California at the time, the most violent yard, and they brought 7 dogs. It was a dog rescue program, and I hadn't touched a dog in 25 years at that point. And I was assigned a dog named Flynn. He was a short-haired German Shepherd. He spent 3 months with me in my cell, on the yard. I had training techniques. I had goals with him I had to complete. The trainers would come in every Wednesday, and I literally like healed myself during that time. As I don't know if people would understand, but I discovered who I was through the eyes of that dog. All those things that I told you, the love, the acceptance, all these animals filled me up. I'm part of a pack. They need me. I have a job. I have a duty. So as a man, all those things are starting to, I'm plugging all these holes in my life, and it's working. And that was definitely a huge moment in my life. And that's when my path started going towards home, right there.
I also hear that you're in talks with making your life story into a motion picture.
Sure. After I wrote the book about that, I put it up on like Spotify, like an audio book. But about 2.5 years ago, a filmmaker messaged me on Instagram and said, "Hey, years ago, my family adopted a dog from the same exact program that you were in, and the dog changed our lives. We've been following that program and the stories on Instagram, and we saw you in prison training dogs. We've watched your journey. We watched you parole. We started following you." He goes, "I would love to sit down with you and explore the possibility of telling your story." Fast forward 2 years, we've spent hours. Not a single day has gone by that we have not dedicated multiple hours to it. And today we have a complete written script that's been, we have it copyrighted with the Writers Guild. We have our pitch decks. We have, these are things that I'm learning as I go. But what we have now is we're trying to make a movie. We have what we call sizzle reels, and we want to tell this story. And while it is my story, I say it's our story because if you've dealt with broken homes, addiction, abandonment, gang life, incarceration, do you love dogs, have animals, there's something for everybody in there. But our goal, making movies costs money and financing and getting talent. And we've had a few actors who are recognizable who have, offered to come on board, who are part of the team. But what we're doing right now is we're looking to garner funds. We have a goal of 44,000. We need about 20,000 left. And once that's done, we're going to create a 4 to 6 minute trailer, and we're going to take it to the American film market. We're going to take it to festivals. We're going to make this thing happen. And it's a story that I believe the world really needs at this time. If you think about Shawshank Redemption, think about Shawshank Redemption like a 2.0.
Wow.
And yeah, I have all the the links and stuff in my Instagram, but we're gonna make it happen.
That's right. Where can they find you on social media? Where can they find you?
Yeah, so I'm mostly pretty active on Instagram, which is at Free Bliss One. See a picture of me with my little pit bull puppy that I adopted a year ago, and I kind of document my life, what it's like to live after all these years, my change, experiences that I go through, as well as the movie. You can see where we're at, what we're doing, how you can donate, how you can become involved. Yeah.
You know what? I would encourage you guys, my audience. You know what? If you feel in your heart to donate, let's make this film come alive. Let's get this film out there, and who knows? I may even be a part of this film as well too. I'm sure there's a few homies out there.
Absolutely. In writing the script, as you know, we wrote it for about 2 years, goes through all the edits, and we have a list. We had a list of 8 people that we would like, you know. You were on there. You were definitely on. You were definitely Vince Romo was definitely on there.
I appreciate that, brother. That means a lot to me. How does it feel that your life is going to be made into a movie? How does that make you feel?
It's exciting. It's been a journey. I shared some with you. It's not as easy making a movie. I love the creative aspect. I love the writing, the creation, but the business end, woo! I don't know if it's harder to get out of prison or make a dang movie, man.
It's hard, I know. I have a little bit of experience.
A little bit, but it's a labor of love. I'm enjoying it. It's a message. When you're working for something you love, it got the drive. I got a lot of energy, and I feel responsible as well. I do want to say that I'm dealing with these heavy issues, so I want to be a good custodian of this movie and these issues, and put a good message out there for the world.
Wow, I have no doubt that you would do that, Ryan. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Only nothing but blessings for you, nothing but success, and I'm sure that we will be working together soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. This is Barrio Driven.